Check, check, 1 2. Microphone check. Yo. All right, so what's going on today? What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode. Today we're going to be talking about the whole take a knee controversy, right? Hashtag take a knee that's been going on Twitter. Our illustrious president has been chiming in on it, so it's clearly a very big and important issue. So yeah, let's just talk about it for a little bit. Probably gonna hear some, comments and background noises, or maybe even fully fledged comments. Mama, from my bro, he's also sitting next to me. But first of all, some initial thoughts. Okay, we all know Colin Kaepernick started this a while back. Started kneeling during the national anthem. He said it was to protest, racial injustice in the country and things of that nature. I think he's referring to the lack of convictions for officers who kill unarmed black people in the streets around various places in the country. So I don't know. I'm not gonna get into the whole is he good enough to play or was he fired because he was doing that, because I think that's beside the point. For whatever reason, he felt like it was time to make a statement about racial injustice, so that's what he did. And now he started this whole conversation, and we're still talking about it today. So if you've been keeping up to Twitter, I haven't, not very well, but this is big enough that even I've picked up on it. There's this whole controversy because Trump now is bringing a hammer down, talking about the NFL is supporting un-American people, and the ripples from this are extending, and now you have people talking about they're going to boycott the NFL for allowing players to disrespect the country, disrespect the military. So I just want to dive into that right there. That's the whole crux of the issue for me. So, it's a debate between people who view the kneeling as a heroic and patriotic act, representing a desire to see the country unified and more equal in its treatment of different racial groups, and other people who actually who see the kneeling as a disrespectful act, one that spits on the flag or dishonors the sacrifices of military servicemen. So that's an interesting one right there, because when people bring up the response that it's disrespectful to the military to kneel during the national anthem, because they'll say things like, that flag represents the freedom that, military members bled for. They fought and died for that flag. How can you guys just disrespect it by kneeling during the anthem? And I'll always see this rebuttal, even from veterans themselves a lot of the times. I didn't fight for a symbol. I didn't fight for a flag. I fought for the freedoms encapsulated in the First Amendment. So I wholeheartedly support people's right to protest. And I think we should take it from the military people's mouths themselves. I think it's pretty, cheap and easy to just put, oh, wow, look at you disrespecting the military. And it doesn't really hold water when you have military people themselves saying, yes, I served. And I just think that people should be allowed to speak their minds. That's what makes America America. And I think there's a very respectable middle ground that I've heard a lot, where people say things like, I personally wouldn't kneel during the anthem. It's not something I would choose to do, but I respect people's right to do so. And I think whether you support the kneeling as an act of patriotism or you accept it as a expression, freedom of speech that someone should be allowed to do, I think that's reasonable to be in the middle. Okay, so that there's that out of the way. There's also something else I want to talk about, and it's this comment that comes up during this debate where people just sort of take a left turn and say the kneeling, that it's not a military comment. They say something like the kneeling is divisive in and of itself. Why are we dividing the country by doing something like kneeling or sitting down while the national anthem is being played? Like, how does that move us toward unity? That moves us away from unity. You're being divisive. So I feel like that's pretty much what I'm going to spend most of the time talking about. I don't know how long this is going to go, but how is it being divisive to express your opinion on what's going on? it just really speaks to two mindsets, okay? And it really just depends on whether there is a problem that needs to be addressed. So let's walk through this. So let's say that there is deeply entrenched racial inequality in the United States of America. If this is the case, then we could do one thing, which is not talk about it and pretend to be friends. You know, what we did during leading up to and during the tenure of President Obama. We're like, post-racial America. We can do that. And be like, see, America's not racist anymore. We've left our past behind with all the, colored water fountains and slavery and all that. We moved past it. But if in fact there was still problems, dealing with racial equality and, police exercise of force against communities of color, minority communities, then acting like that would probably be more of a harm if your intention is to actually have a society without those racial issues. So it's true that talking about these things and bringing them up is probably uncomfortable and does not make people feel happy about the way things are going, especially if they themselves don't hold personally racist views. But if in fact there are these issues of inequality based on race, then if one's intention was to actually live in a society without those separations, then it would make sense to address the problem frankly and honestly, and then try to move toward actually addressing the issues instead of putting a Band-Aid on it. So for some people, maybe that's not their intention. Maybe they actually do want a stratified society. But others who simply write off protests as being divisive and counterproductive, go spend your money on something else. This is just a publicity stunt. This doesn't really help at all. I would say that if indeed these issues are truly there, then calling attention to it and trying to, show that it's a concern is a first step in moving away from them. So then the debate would move to actually if those problems are actually there, which I think is the crux of a big issue. I feel like a lot of white Americans probably feel like there is not, what? African Americans are not oppressed, man. We know what oppression is. We just got to open up a history book and, read about slavery and stuff and Jim Crow and all that stuff. What are they complaining about now? They're getting paid millions of dollars to play a sport and they're talking about oppression. What are they talking about? And in this regard, the closest thing I can get to is the rates of minority shootings by the police. And then the famous rebuttal will be about the increased rates of crime in communities of color. But then that would just make me talk about, why are there so many criminals? And I think it has a lot to do with the country's history and segregation and, fewer opportunities. And, look, there he goes making excuses for bad behavior. But I'm just saying it's nuanced, it's complicated. And let's bring it back around full circle. So take a knee. Lots of people send that hashtag around like NFL. All you players, y'all need to take a knee. Y'all need to show that we're united against Trump's divisive. Trump's divisive. Their divisive. Who's divisive? We need to unite against Trump's divisive rhetoric and show that we don't view what he's saying. Wow. We don't view what he's saying as representative of the country and stuff like that. And then, of course, the other side. And my 2 cents on it is, like I said earlier, everyone should be free to express their opinions as they see fit, whether they're millionaires or not, whatever race they are. You have your 2 cents on any issue. You just got to be rational. You got to be rational and considerate with how you present your case, so you can do whatever. So in that regard, I support those who feel like they need to take a knee. I support those who don't, but respect First Amendment rights. I'm a little bit concerned about our president. His methodology seems just so ham-handed, and it just doesn't seem considerate in the way I would prefer it. But he has the right to speak as well. Right, I'm not being two-faced about that. I just think that his style it just feels counterproductive and not carefully considered Like he doesn't weigh everything.
So would you say he took a knee-jerk reaction?
But
That's my contribution, guys.
yeah, I introduced him. He had to have a little something in there. But yeah, you know, let me know what you guys think about the whole thing. I mean, the controversy is very. It's all over the social media right now. The social media. What am I, my dad? It's all over social media right now, and it's just it's like, you know, the culture war is being won and decided on these bloodless grounds. We're trying to decide what is going to be our identity as Americans as we continue into the 21st century. Yeah, so that'll do it. I just wanted to get my thoughts out there. Didn't pre-write them. I don't write outlines. And hopefully that was coherent enough for you to get something out of that. Chocolate